the double Demon Deus. Right there. It's just so much harder than it looks. Okay, it's mirrored. I don't care. We're going to ABAB. We've got a 1-2 punch start. We've got Siege Machine, whatever. We got a 1-2 punch start, and we've got a lot of damage on both sides coming out, especially on the side of ABAB. We got the Vice, we got the Zentaro, and like other side they had an Imi, Atlas, and really blanket. It's not on screen anymore if you notice. That one, Juliet, and so we are loading in right now. Seed 2 versus Seed 3. This is absolutely guaranteed to be a heater match, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I am surprised at the prevalence of Vice in these drafts. Not because Vice isn't an incredible character. I'm quickly realizing that she might be one of the best characters in the game. But there are a lot of Vice players that have been coming out of the woodworks over the course of the last few months, and Cardbox is... I haven't seen him play too much Vice. I have to imagine that more than anything, this is a bit of a deny away from Hungry Boy, who is one of the foremost Vice players and has been for quite some time. But both of our barriers are now down, and it is a power play for the side of Overtime.
Yeah, Overtime looking to seal it out here in the power play. They've got the Juliet, they've got the Imi, two great stuffing characters. We've got the Kai goalie, which I think is a big surprise. I was expecting a Vice goalie to come out here. But Dropletto on the breakaway, looking to get it in. Not quite able to. Ton of damage onto Joker, being healed away by Luke here. Vaughn being patient, looking for an opportunity. Drop has this flip. But Hungry Boy burning that one. Just both teams looking for an opportunity right here. Vaughn back to the court. Dropletto staggered. That's Zentaro with low stagger. But boom! Hungry Boy taken off the field by a Giga Blast. Dropletto needing to burn that flip to keep the core in play. And boom! Vaughn on the run up, able to squeeze it right in between the expanse and the wall. Put it in right there. And again, here's the Kai goalie. I thought the draft was expecting a big Vice. We've been seeing a lot of Vice goalie recently. But Kai received a lot of buffs in this recent patch. And so, you know, here Vaughn, one of the oldest Kai goalies in, I suppose, since launch. I'm old manning right now. It doesn't matter. He's really good at the Kai. We're going to be seeing a lot more of that. And Cardbox on the Vice. Don't look at Season 5 playoffs of Nixel, but hey, everything else, I'm excited to see this guy on the Vice here.
I will say one thing that did surprise me about this start of game draft is the Imi opting for Siege Machine here. A little bit of duration and range on that turret. Oh, nice goal line save there by Vaughn from Joker's dash punch. We'll keep it in. And we still have 2 flips on the side of Overtime here, so they'll be able to make some progress. But one gets defended away once more.
Yep, Joker looking a little low. Luke has this flip. It's going to be hard to break him, hard to get this barrier. Things are looking a little tough for ABAB here. Vaughn looking for an opportunity to run in, get some damage onto Joker, stagger that guy. Let his team take care of the rest. And here, Joker still alive. The ball's still in play. Joker getting taken out. Here's the power play opportunity. A big Thunderstruck launch onto Luke, being forced out of his goal box. And here, Dropletto with the ball. Dribble off the middle from Luke with the strike shot. Luke still has this flip, still has an opportunity to make a big save with it. Dropletto going in. The flip is burned. And here Vaughn with the ball just rotating around. We are in overtime. We do have the core speed strike shot. Gonna be saving that one. Not expanse, the other one. Astral projection, catching that. And here Joker just looking to get anything. I mean, it's 1-2 punch, start overtime. The core is going incredibly fast. And 0.2. And both teams just looking for any opportunity, but both goalies just holding it down very, very well. Cardbox with the big ult, looking to get something, anything, but just both teams kind of in a stalemate here. But boom! Power chord from downtown. That's what ABAB was looking for, and that's going to be a second point on the board for them.
I was looking a little scary there for a minute for them. Stagger bars were dropping low. They were taking a lot of collateral damage from Hungry Boy's Imi, but the pressure let up for just a minute. They were able to regen. They had plenty of energy on the board in case something went terribly wrong. And the consistent pressure that they were able to keep up did secure them a now 2-point lead in set 1. An unfortunate early flip doesn't get any value there from Vaughn, but ABAB is still looking strong and might be able to close out set 1 here.
Yeah, ABAB looking incredibly strong. I think on paper, this comp that they have is not supposed to be winning set 1. Huge revive coming out from Luke there, able to burn Cardbox's flip. But they're the damage team, ABAB. They've got the Vice, they've got the Dropletto. They do have the Dropletto.
They do have the Dropletto.
They've got the Zentaro, and just generally, you're supposed to expect like picks like Juliet, Atlas, and even I mean in this situation where they're playing more of a stuff kind of game to win that early set. And here they have the advantage right in this point. Joker a little low going for the orb, but the net is open, and I think Kai is a great goalie in net, able to hold it down as we've been seeing the past few points, but still just they have progressed further at this point. They have the opportunity. They just need to get their offense going. I think they've been having a lot of trouble getting the ball to Joker, who's been kind of lingering on the midfield line. That's a big KO coming out right there. And Hungry Boy looking to get the ball into a good position here, trying to set up Joker. Joker looking to get it, but the power play burns here. Hungry Boy not able to get through the barrage, and boom, that's going to be a great glitch pop pass right to Joker, able to get in the top corner, and that's 1 point on the board for overtime. And could be the start of a little bit of a comeback this set.
And overtime, what an appropriate team name for this game. I mean, we've just seen the past 3 points go into overtime. And with the prowess of these goalies, I bet we're going to be seeing a lot of that the rest of this game. I mean, Luke didn't even lose both barriers last point, but like you said, Vaughn is also an absolute beast on the defense. Look at him, he's passing to his own eject button there, and also has this flip to burn if necessary. So yeah, the defense of both of these teams is looking incredibly strong and is clearly very hard to get through.
Yeah, both teams locking it down right now. Absolutely. Vaughn, I think, in contest, if not unquestionably the best goalie in the world right now. So him pulling up on the Kai is going to be looking great. Luke also just had some great accolades, and on the Atlas, a character that he is incredibly familiar with. Just putting on a wonderful defense. Was looking incredibly unbreakable yesterday, but here both barriers go down. Things are looking a little tough. Having to burn the flip and Drop Leto able to cover it. Hungry Boy trying to stop him, but Drop just in the 2v1 situation, able to shut it all down, get through, and that's going to be Vaughn on the MVP here.
Yeah, no surprises. We said his name a lot that last set. And Missile Prop is early up on the draft here. A pretty strong deny away from Atlas, probably the thing that Atlas wants in this draft more than anything else, but it is also a fantastic pickup on Kai. You can get these massive gigas, especially with 1-2 punch. If you've hit someone with your barrage, you might be able to just straight up kill them with that. The rest of the draft, Aimee getting this heavy impact is very, very nice. Obviously, bulk up for Drop Leto's Zentaro is going to be a big buff for them. And then we're also starting some sparking down at the back of the draft on Card Box. So a healthy mix of scaling and BIS pickups for the side of ABAB. And then meanwhile, just grabbing whatever good stuff. That heavy impact on the Aimee is kind of the highlight for overtime. Yeah, I think both teams are pretty happy with the draft for the most part. Maybe maybe Joker would have liked to get something that buffs a little better, but size on Julie is never going to be a bad thing, certainly.
Yeah, I really like the Spark pickup on Card Box. Starting with Power Spark is going to be really nice on the device. And like you said, Missile Prop going to be incredible. I mean, boom, going to be dropping a Giga right there. But going back to those patch notes on Kai, the barrage range was increased, which means that as Missile Prop is a percentage increase, it's going to... We're talking like cross-map kind of stuff, but that's going to be Luke knocked out. That's going to be Joker shot dead with the barrage. Just talking about that. In the 1v3, Hungry Boy has a flip, but electing not to use it. Getting Giga Blasted too, just done. Really tough situation. Dominant point coming out from ABAB. Not letting any of that fly. Getting the KOs. Shutting out all opportunities for OT to do anything. And it looks like we're taking a moment here, so...
You know, you were bringing up the patch notes. I think that a fantastic thing to talk about is this Zentaro pick coming off of the patch notes. Got hit pretty heavily. It was what, 2.5 seconds added to his primary cooldown?
Yeah.
That primary has been an absolute menace pretty much since he was added to the game. It's one of the strongest primary abilities in the game, in my opinion. It's got a core stop, it deals great damage, and it's on a low cooldown, which means that you can prevent a lot of healing with it. So it just made Zentaro a fantastic hybrid core control damage character. I expected a lot less Zentaro to be seen on the other side of that primary nerf, but a lot of the Zen aficionados are still going strong at it and making him look quite good. What do you think of that?
I think that the secret is that you would have to, like, remove Zentaro's legs for him to be bad. That character, I remember launch people were like, it was hot off beta, everyone was still playing the Julies, their X's, you know, familiarities, and was new. Zen was new, and people were like, I don't think he's very good. And like, sure. Again, comfort is still very familiar with Julie X, and that kind of play style of we're gonna stuff the ball, we're just gonna be big brawlers, and
Mhm.
and duke it out is not very much the Zentaro play style. But hey, I don't know. The moment people figured out like Zentaro characters pretty good, it's always been that way. And there are times where people are like, I think Zen's pretty bad right now, and then you watch like Bells pick Zen and just 9-0 a team. You're like, well, like I know he's Bells, but he's doing Zentaro stuff that we're not seeing other people do. And the big thing is just staying alive. Always going to be the hardest part of the character. And so obviously I think Dropletto is in a good situation here, not playing into too much damage. Gotta watch out for the dash punches, gotta watch out for the Ami, but otherwise like sitting pretty comfortably on the Zentaro, got the bulk up, like we are showing up the one weakness of the character here, picking up that stagger, and then you're just playing a phenomenal character. Like, gotta feel pretty nice, gotta be pretty cool. So
And Dash Awakenings are still on the board. Always a massive power spike for Zentaro. I haven't seen even more players actually just opt to not go dash range. They're like, sometimes you can just get an insanely strong build without the dash range.
mhm.
But definitely, he's kind of an undeniable guy, that Zentaro.
Yeah, a little bit of a monster. I mean, on some maps like Demon Days or maybe Tycho, you can go no dash awakening and then just like today I'm gonna get 1-2 punch heavy impact and like only one other awakening because by at that point you should just be winning the game in 3 sets. Close it out, boom. Just a little bit of a monster. I do think that the 2-second hit on his primary is really significant. Like if you want to talk about slowing down that character, that's a great way to do it because man, it was 7.5 seconds before, and that was one of the shortest primaries in the game.
Mhm.
Very, very nice, but now we're talking 9 seconds. Like still though, like you said, very good ability shown up, even with a little bit of a nerf on it. Character's still looking great, and so I think I'm also setting my eyes on Vice, who was really strong last patch, and I think I've been hearing a lot of different opinions about the character with this most recent patch, and so I'm very curious
What
to
have you
see
been hearing through the grapevine?
most of the goalie stuff. As it turns out,
Yeah,
midfield Vice was pretty popular last patch. We saw it a lot, but has generally been kind of a weird pick that only works in some really big damage metas.
yeah.
What I've been picking up on the Vice goalie is that it has some good matchups, especially into melee goalies. It has some really bad matchups. Usually forward pairs like Juliet, maybe not X. X is a little bit slower, but characters that can show up and shut down the Vice because like the pick's not super defensive.
Mhm.
Today I'm gonna walk up and dash punch the Vice. What's he gonna do? Thunderstruck. Yeah, that's shown up in 3 to 5 business days. We're getting the barrier. Like the character excels at keeping the ball up and being offensive. So if you as the goalie and your midfield pair are able to keep the ball on the other side, maybe even the brawler can do a little bit of defense as a treat. Then you should win the game. That's the strength of Vice. But if the enemy team is able to keep the ball up, something like an Estelle goalie or just a speed midfielder that has a lot of coverage, obviously the speed midfielders all have lower stagger, which make them a nice target for Vice. Now, the chain lightning has hit me. Now I'm slow and also half my health is gone. Oops. That's tough, but you know, I still think that if you're able to play around the damage, not let the Vice get what she wants, keep the ball up, then it can just be a steamroll. I talked about it yesterday on cast, but that is a feast or famine character. You
Yeah.
were either blowing through the competition or waiting until set 3 where you get enough awakening to try and blow through the competition. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, and it's
I
a really interesting pick.
I do think that having a Zentaro as your other forward smooths out a lot of the inconsistencies, though. It allows you to get a little bit more into the feast territory, a little bit out of the famine territory, because again, Zen, fantastic character at controlling space, and his zone control is significantly more reactive, right? Like he has a little bit shorter windup on all of his abilities than a lot of Vices, and so the strength of a Vice being able to apply pressure as long as it's in the area that they're trying to push on offense is really complemented well by Zentaro, who has 2 dashes in his kit, 3 if you count the passive, right?
Yep.
To catch those wild out clears, as well as all of the core stops that allow Vice to actually set up everything that she needs to do. It gives all the time for those long windups.
Yeah, Vice Centauro is one of those historic pairs. Again, like the needle on the damage to core control spectrum tips towards damage, and then all of a sudden, Vice and Centauro are in every game. You're like, you're on the enemy team, like, my bad. Sorry, it's time to do my best. Like, it gets tough because those 2 characters just put on so much damage, and like, said goalie brawler pair, both are just really, really nice because they cover for each other so well. I really like the goalie brawler pair when then you have either like an Estelle midfield for just a triple damage threat. Aimee works as well, or even just like drop a Kai in there, drop some fast guy, and it's like, you, Mr. Midfielder, you're gonna be John core control this game, and so you've got it all to yourself. We're gonna be hitting people. Good luck. And that's kind of what the Estelle and Aimee fill into in this kind of comp, but
yeah,
they play a little bit more damage, help the win condition a little bit. But either way, just a lovely pair.
I'm interested by it's overtime that's playing the Aimee Julie, right? Is the forward comp? I'm interested by that. It's a comp that I haven't seen in a while. I think that the last time that I really remember a team whipping out Aimee Julie is on the Julie, and they would just kind of make it work because it's Kai, Noob, and Snake. Yep. But I haven't really seen it's pretty unpopular. Usually you would want to pair the Aimee up with Asher is one that I've seen a little more frequently is Asher, because I think Asher is a little better at holding the core in one place than Julie is. Like Julie, you dump your kit and then like that's all that you have to offer. But Asher can kind of slow down the pace of an offensive push, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about the Julie Aimee? What's the vision there?
I feel very, very strangely about it. I think it's good. I do agree with the Aimee Asher. I think Asher, her primary and her ult, both really good at slowing the core and slowing down the play, giving the Aimee opportunity to move in. I like the Asher more with picks like Estelle or Kai, where you have someone to back you up, and like Estelle has a lot of ranged abilities to catch anything if it gets out of the Asher's, area of influence, which is quite small. Very slow character, a melee abilities. And the Kai kind of fills a similar role, except instead of having long range abilities, it's just fast. The ability is him to get to where the core is once it escapes the Asher. I think this Aimee Julie works very similarly to Estelle Julie. The midfielder plays a very similar position where they're just like all in on stuffing the core. Like you see the enemy goalie and you're like, I'm gonna drop 15,000 big stuns on this guy. They're not gonna do anything. Like dash punch and then dash from Aimee, like ouch.
Well, you have the turret to help set all that up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the turret is massive for that.
Yeah, it's nice to just like snipe out the goalie, really make their life hell. I think it lacks a little bit in the midfield area. Obviously, Juliet is not the CEO of midfielding, not quite that character's role, but the enemy also has a lot of coverage, has a lot of tools, but I think is very high execution, which is why I prefer the Estelle in this sort of situation. Estelle, I think, is much easier to pilot, and I like her core control ability. You've got the blink, which obviously blink comparison. Fun segment we got on the cast. Aimee, very good at scoring. You get to just blast the goalie's head off and put it in all at the same time. Still, you've got to kind of force it more because you're not getting a massive stun off. You're not, you can strike, but you have to catch an out clear more than you are stuffing directly through the goalie, which is a little bit harder. But in midfield, the projectile that the blink sends out gives you so much control. It is so nice to just blink onto a spot, and then that entire area is yours until someone comes to contest you. And then the ult.
Well, it's instantaneous, right? Yeah, like Aimee's got big wind up on everything.
Yeah, you can just react. Okay, hey, bad news team. We're having a great analysis segment, but the venue internet. I'm sure you've noticed. Take a peek at the screen. The venue internet is not doing well, so we are going to take a short break. We will be right back with this heater match that's unfortunately getting stalled out by, I don't know, big ISP. So we'll be back soon. Sorry, it's me, Mr. Adjust My Mic. But hey, we're back. We're looking like we have internet. We were looking at the cameras and we leveled up from what's everyone saying, 214 pixels to maybe more than 215. It looked good. It looked good. We don't know if the internet's 100% back, but we're testing it out. We're being told we have no audio. So I don't know if that's true, but well, I could be getting one guide. There is audio. I hate you. You won. Not my problem. Not my problem anymore. So, hey, that's a game. That's a game that we were looking at.
Are we jumping back in, or?
I think we'll be jumping back in soon. It looks like they're standing around. Dropletto is striking. He couldn't have been striking this whole time, so I imagine it looks like they've been told to tap back in, get ready again. Luke just ripped an evade. That could be bad, but we're getting back into the game, and here, 1-2 punch overtime. If you remember, that's what we were dealing with before. Joker's already getting shot in the head, and both barriers are down for ABAB. Just balls to the wall action off the rip. Vaughn has this flip here. Hungry Boy has this flip here, though, and it's going to be sending it right up to that open space. Joker kind of zoning Vaughn out, trying to get him to cover the bottom side, and boom. There we are. 1 point in the books, and we're back on stage, back on show. The show must go on. The overtime must continue.
We're back, yeah, except Cardbox is about to be gone again. Low on the stagger here. Will grab that orb, though, but it removes him from the play for a minute and allows Joker and Hungry Boy to set up quite a nice offense here. It's cleared out by Dropletto and Vaughn now. Vaughn will burn the flip here to make sure Joker doesn't get any sneaky plays off here. Black Hole dealing damage to both midfielders, but ABAB's barriers fall here, and Cardbox is still staggered, as is Hungry Boy. They both retreat for their respective orbs, though. Massive barrier advantage, though, for overtime. Only now is the first one falling, and they still have that second one to get through, and Luke has plenty of abilities to burn to keep it safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Just Curse of Atlas. It's going to be so tough to get that second barrier, and here, Joker getting close to winning that strike war. Almost there in range, but not able to. Vaughn going to be saving that one. Bit of a close call. ABAB has this offense going. They have possession of the core, looking to get it through. But Joker playing back a little bit, trying to help out. And not a bad idea. In this 1-2 punch start, you have the core speed that you can catch the enemy team off guard. Cardbox flip, burned. Going to be taking that Julie ult right there, and Joker almost winning that strike war too. It's not quite. Hungry Boy burning that flip. Dropletto looking to get an opportunity there, but actually just getting half a stagger taken away. Expands in that corner. And Joker, boom! Hitting into the top side of the corner. Vaughn almost able to catch it with the Giga Blast. Very close, but that's going to be an overtime point. I believe in overtime, so another one in the books, and one more. They tied this game.
Yeah, look at Vaughn. Vaughn is 2 levels above everyone else in this lobby. 3 levels above many of them. He's just hit level 9. and everyone else is at level 6 or 7. This guy might be doing a lot for the side of ABAB. And speaking of, they just got both of the enemy barriers down. Dropletto burns the flip here, but it's punched away by Joker. And Dropletto is now in dire stagger territory. Another flip defended away by Luke there. Good hold by overtime.
Yeah, we saw Vaughn just rushing in there, doing the Kai special, have the eject button, looking to get some offense going. But overtime able to shut it all out, and now Hungry Boy getting staggered, unable to get KO'd so far though. Giga Blast almost doing him in. I think with the 1-2 punch buff it would have done it, but not able to. Does get taken out eventually, and here Luke defending right, gets the core flip. Joker also helping out, and the strikes are coming out, almost able to defend everything, but the chain lightning able to tap it in right there from Cardbox, and we are going to a 0.5 here.
It seems like anytime that Vaughn has his secondary up, there is just a massive burst of pressure that comes out from ABAB, because Vaughn is able to walk. Look at them. He walks all the way up to the midfield, burning a ton of Hungry Boy's cooldowns there. It actually forces out the Atlas ult as well. His barriers do get taken, but in those brief little moments where Vaughn is absolutely zooming. Oh, nice ult by Joker. That'll take the set for overtime. But definitely we're seeing ABAB's game plan play out here. But that was a nice set from overtime, tying it up 1-1.
Yeah, beautiful play from Joker there, able to force it into the unwinnable situation. Had the ult, had the checkmate, might be taken might be taking his hat right there, or an unstoppable, but nope, it's hat time. And in this match, I really like him picking up Stagger Swagger. They're going into damage, and like I was mentioning before, I really do think that Overtime should be winning these first few sets before the damage really comes online, and so picking up that Stagger Swagger once they're playing into the damage, and it's already been coming out. We've been seeing the KOs. That guy's going to be moving at 30% speed, I think a lot of the game, and I think it's going to be very tough to take him down. We also saw Luke deny the Deadeye from Cardbox, and Unstoppable picked up by Hungry Boy, just full defensive draft, and this could be enough to weather the damage storm. We'll have to see, but on the other side, some good pickups. Demolitionist on Dropletto. Big fan of the size and turret, makes the ult bigger. It's just really useful, and it's one of his best abilities, going to be showing up and getting it. But until then, Overtime, he gets these barriers open and is looking for a chance, but now all barriers down. Both teams looking to get an opportunity. Dropletto just so close to getting it in right there.
Yeah, very close, but caught that little corner, unfortunately. And now Luke has plenty to hold on to this gold. He does have the flip, and his primary should be coming back up shortly. Hungry Boy's back there to help him as well. But we have 3 flips coming up on the side of ABAB. But before they can come up, Joker manages to slide it on through with a strike into punch through Cardbox. Vaughn evading there, just a little too slow to catch it. It'll be 0.1 to overtime.
Yeah, I think that's a super interesting interaction right there. I think that Vaughn thought that a dash punch would be coming out, and that is like ideal dash punch location. You're in the corner and you just do the dash punch parallel to that slanted wall, try and get in there. Boom! Oh my God, Joker just let it all hang there, getting both barriers and ulting it straight to the goal, right behind Vaughn, slipping in a little incognito mission and able to get that second point. Overtime's starting to run away with this game here.
Yeah, that is some clean play there by Joker, who is now the highest level member of his team at level 9, putting in some plays over the course of the past few points. There's that flip burned by Luke to keep the pressure up. Dropletto has a flip, Vaughn has a flip here, so 2 on the side of ABAB, which gives them a little bit of breathing room for this point. But of course, flips can only take you so far when you're down 2 points in a set. There's Vaughn burning 1 right there, and that's a lot of damage onto Dropletto and Cardbox, and Joker finds the barrier. No evade on anybody on ABAB, and Cardbox finds the ult though, but the quickly traded away by a glitch pop from Hungry Boy. Dropletto still has the flip here. He's finding barriers despite being staggered. He finds both barriers. What an angle!
Yeah, oh my God, a little bit of Dropletto magic. We saw a ton of that in National Season 6, and he's bringing it here. Now, still staggered, Hungry Boy getting taken low. The Luke ult coming out. Not going to be having any healing to try and get him out of this one yet. Dropletto with the pass and trying to get it forward, and is going to be sneaking that one right in there. Very clean point from Dropletto right there. Bringing him up to level 9. Ahead of Cardbox here, and really showing up at that point. Looking to claw this one back from the little deficit that's been built by Overtime here.
And you know, one thing that I didn't even notice until now, but Vaughn actually picked up Twin Drive in that last draft, which I was talking about the importance of Vaughn's secondary in the offensive game plan of ABAB. He actually had to burn both of them pretty early on in this point on defense, but when he's allowed to control the midfield, it's very, very important. Right now, though, Overtime is the ones in full control of the midfield. Luke actually being able to walk all the way up to the midfield line here with his flip. Hungry Boy about to have one as well. A brief breakaway, but I don't think it's going to last too long. Hungry Boy flips up to Joker. 2 other flips still on the side of Overtime to close out the set. Cardbox burns his early before Joker can. Luke tries to get it to Joker, but nice strike away by Dropletto will prevent it from being a threat. And Joker almost KO'd there. He burns the flip, but it's traded by Vaughn. The Vice ult takes him out in the middle of Julie ult, and Vaughn misses the strike, but has the secondary to catch it. Little scary, but Luke holds on to this barrier, so even in the midst of this power play, Overtime are still looking good. Cardbox, nice power chord there, will find the final barrier, and Dropletto and Cardbox are keeping possession up front here.
Yep, a little bit of a turntables from the beginning of this point where Overtime just had the core the entire time. But now Dropletto burning that flip, unfortunate miss, and that's going to be a pretty big deal because they're really struggling to break this Atlas. Meanwhile, Joker and Hungry Boy getting the core up. Great dash punch, here comes the ult, but Vaughn with the evade clear, not letting that go through. Dropletto looking to push in, not quite able to, and a great glitch pop gets it right to Joker. Has free reign to shoot wherever he wants, takes the clean shot. towards the bottom, and that's going to be an overtime set right there. Second of them. One more to win the game, and we're going into this massive damage draft. This is what ABAB's been waiting for, and this is what's going to get them back into the game, if anything.
Well, and it's an important draft for them, not just because there's a bunch of damage on the table, but they have 2 draft priorities, 1 on the backside, despite losing the set. So they've got Ad Rush on the table here. That is a 3rd spark picked up by Cardbox, feeding power and speed to his teammates with that leadership, and that's both dash range and damage on that Zentaro. You're absolutely right. This is, despite losing the set, ABAB's massive turning point, and they are a much scarier team this set than they were last.
Yeah, certainly. Just massive, massive swing in the Awakenings for ABAB. They're able to pick up, like you said, the Dash Awakening, 3rd Spark. We're talking Cardbox with probably 163 power or something crazy. And so that's going to be a ton of damage. You know, going to be burning evades left and right, and once those evades come out, the Vice abilities are going to hit like a truck. Vaughn also with the extra special, the Giga Blast is a massive part of a Kai goalie's defense. You know, it's a great preemptive ability to get a big hit stun, get the core past the brawler encroaching, not let them get any space, and just good for snipes. It's good. Like, it's good all over the place. More Giga Blasts is a big deal. That being said, the turret, the Timeless Creator, along with the Siege Machine start, going to be doing massive work for Hungry Boy there. I think that's the biggest pickup for overtime, and it's going to be, they're going to really need a lot of turret value. I think it's going to be pretty good into the Kai here. I think the longest the turret can be, maybe a cast last, only way it can get any longer, but none of that matters because Cardbox is going to be putting it in right there. First point for ABAB, 2 more, and they tie up this game, but I think they got everything they wanted. They are fully online. This is their game to win right now. So overtime really has to hold their lead, get these next 3 points, and not let this game go to a set 5. Otherwise, it's going to be big trouble.
It's hard because, I mean, even last set, it seemed like the only time that overtime was able to really make any sort of consistent progress was when they had core flips or IME turret. And with damage, there's less core flips on the board. And that IME turret, even though it's lasting longer, still is a long cooldown. And if Hungry Boy's off the board, you're not going to be placing down any of those turrets. So it's certainly a tough position for them. It's going to be really, really hard for them to stay in it. But even if they lose this set, overtime still has another one on the other side of this. Maybe something could come up. And you know what? Ad Rush procced on Luke and a dash punch power play found by Joker. So if they can make plays like that happen, overtime still absolutely have a shot to bring it home this set.
Yeah, certainly. Dropletto looking a little low right here. Cardbox is brought back. And like you said, the Evade Vampire, no core flips for overtime at all is going to be a big deal. Dropletto is still low, still fighting for his life, looking to get something, able to get in there, and the Thunderstruck stopping the core in the perfect position. Both forwards on ABAB, dropping in right there and getting it in. Vicious plays coming out from ABAB, and it's, again, exactly what you'd expect. They're here to play. They're here to bring it to a set 5 and kind of suffocate overtime with all the damage they have here.
Yeah, we were talking about Zentaro being able to fill in all of the gaps in Vice's zone control. That's exactly what that point was. Dropletto was able to dash in across the map to set up Vice's teleport there and allow Cardbox to score that goal. And once more, that is a crazy fast push from them that immediately grabs both barriers. I think ABAB is going to take this shit in just a short few seconds.
Yeah, Hungry Boy with the flip, looking to confirm with the glitch pop too. Joker staggered, tough situation, not going to be able to get a lot. Unstaggered now, going to be more helpful on the defense in that situation, but Hungry Boy now taking the brunt of the damage. Here comes the turret, it's going to be a big deal, but Vaughn just on the barrage, able to push it through, not let the turret get any value. Cardbox missing a flip right here, but the Thunderstruck is going to be stopping Luke in his tracks, getting it right through, and again, this ABAB is here to just show up and sweep. They have the Vice to shut out the Atlas, who they were having a lot of trouble with early on in the game. Now that they can drop more of these Thunderstrucks and kind of inhibit his gameplay, they're looking much better.
And that's spec training picked up on Cardbox. So even more massive damage coming off of those supernovas. Looks like prime time by the IME. that might help to smooth over some of the possession issues that Overtime has been having. Those glitch pops are really helpful for being able to catch those passing lanes, out clears, which they kind of, that's like really the only option that they have is the IME being able to do that. But that being said, Stinger on this Zentaro is absolutely terrifying. Even more damage than what was already coming out from ABAB, and the damage is really taking its toll. I mean, we're seeing Joker having to burn evade left, right, and center, even though this guy's got 2 Stagger Awakenings, and he's got Huss's hat, so yeah, this Vice Zentaro comp that we were talking about, kind of hard to live against these guys.
Yeah, certainly. I do like Joker's build right here. He's got the 2 Stagger Awakenings, a double size, and the hat, and the 1-2 punch. Like, you can't ask for a whole lot more as Juliet. He's got the Stagger Swagger proc right here, looking to stay alive. Stagger Swagger no longer healing, which means that he's going to be staggered for that much longer, not getting that healing. Going to be getting a big Dash Punch KO onto Cardbox here. This is their opportunity. Overtime, able to get something. That Astral Projection is going so far here, but Dropletto just shutting out all of that offense, and now another power play, this time for ABAB. Joker getting taken down, and Dropletto's almost sending it in. Luke has a flip, might have to burn it in the power play here. Things are looking scary, but oh my goodness, Cardbox with the great read. The strike primary confirmed, catching the pass between the midfielder and goalie, not letting that go through. First point going to ABAB. 2 more, and they win this game. Been a roller coaster of a game. They started ahead, fell back down, and here bringing it to a set 5 overtime. Looking like they're struggling. They're going to have to find something different, some sort of reprieve from all this damage, just these opportunities, and this is starting to look like it.
Yeah, that was very nice. The IME turret burned most of Vaughn's cooldowns, and then including his flip, and then shortly after that, Joker was able to just put it on through. He strike cores the power chord there. Yeah, that is exactly the kind of momentum into goal that Overtime needs, right? Any one of those big cooldowns, either IME turret or a core flip, and then Joker is there to secure it. So as long as they can stall long enough to get more of those opportunities, Overtime is still very much in this game, but it's becoming harder and harder to stall as all of this damage gets pumped out by ABAB.
Yeah, really. But Dropletto looking worse for wear in this situation, running back for an orb here. And Cardbox also taking a ton of damage. We've been talking a lot about the damage out of ABAB, but, the Juliet can get these KOs left and right. The IME able to put out a ton of damage. Like, OT still has plenty of damage themselves, and some great passing right between the forward duo of ABAB right there. Forwards in the net, as Vaughn might say, is going to be costing them that point. That's going to be match point here for Overtime. They have the chance to bring this game back. Again, this has been looking super ABAB favored ever since that 3rd draft, but here they have a chance to win it all, get this game, claw it from just such a scary situation against the higher seed here.
Yeah, and the energy bars of Overtime are looking quite good here. Hungry Boy burns the flip. Joker is well on his way to flip. And meanwhile, Dropletto and Cardbox have been having to burn evade this whole point. Vaughn walks up there too as well, has to burn evade. A big Julie ult comes off, and now Vaughn is almost staggered there. You're absolutely right. The damage is coming through from Overtime. And just a little bit longer, and they'll have another power play coming their way. There's Joker's flip that he's been working on, but Vaughn cleverly evades it. Prevents any disasters from happening. Luke having to burn a lot of defensive cooldowns on this conversion from ABAB now. The barrier does get lost. Vaughn is staggered on the other side of the field, though. Luke burns the flip there to get it off of Dropletto. The Celestial intervention coming out now. Heals up Hungry Boy a little bit, and now no one has a ton of evade on the side of Overtime. Suddenly the energy advantage has shifted over to ABAB. Dropletto and Cardbox both building up flips, but the barrier falls there. It's anyone's point to take.
Yeah, this point going back and forth here. Core just moving at Mach 12. Joker forced to evade that Thunderstruck right there. Would be devastating if he got caught out with that much damage. Almost gets caught, but big shot. Luke save. Oh my god. Dropletto confirming it, taking us to a 0.5. Set 5.5. Both these teams is showing out, showing everything they can do, and not a lot of energy on the side of Overtime. This could be dangerous for them. They might be able to pull something out, though, as they have this whole set so far.
Nice attempt there by Joker. Almost gets both barriers, but only finds one. Dropletto's flip only finds one barrier, but Cardbox now has one as well. Finds it off the angled wall on the top side. Supernova comes out, keeps the pressure up briefly. Dropletto still in here and has a ton of cooldowns to work with. He wins the strike war! And that is game one, headed over to ABAB on set 5.5.
Beast mode point coming out from Cardbox, especially with the Strike War win at the end, sealing the deal. And hey, again, ABAB, one of the teams that, you know, them and Go, top 2 seeds. I think everyone kind of walked into this tournament thinking one of these 2 teams is going to win. And right now, ABAB really showing up, really proving that they have what it takes. I mean, we got Vaughn on the team. That guy's won so many S tiers. Now playing with 2 Nassau teammates. Overtime. Feeling like a bit of a dark horse in this situation. Really putting up a good fight in that game. Showing up. Almost able to clutch it. But just not quite in the end. Also a roster of, you know, we've got Joker, who's got plenty of S tier wins under his belt. And 3 players that have played in Nassau before. So really, this is a big clash of titans coming out. And I would expect nothing less from that game. We've got another game coming up on Demon Deus, which is going to be wild. We saw both these teams kind of electing to go for that damage win condition, and we know what damage looks like on Demon Deus, and it's going to be a big match coming up. I'm excited to watch that one. I'm interested to see how Overtime is going to draft their comp, because again, they have the Atlas, they have the Julie, which are not damage characters, but Atlas especially, they're much more core control oriented. So I'm curious to see on this Deadeye peak performance start, holy moly, what they're going to be doing. Overtime is going to be banning Vice right off the bat, and I don't blame them. That character is in either position on ABAB doing so much, and they're going to be locking in the Finny. We're already seeing a massive change in the game plan here.
Yeah, I'm not at all surprised to see that Vice banned away, but Finny as the first pick. Demon Deus is the Finny map of all time. That ultimate is an absolutely devious tool because you could just get pretty consistent double barriers off of it as long as you can manage to get the core in range of it. That being said, Estelle X as the draft for ABAB. What do you think of that? That's, in my opinion, a little bit of an unconventional comp for Demon Deus. What do you think?
I think X is probably the best brawler on this map, and I think it's been that way even at the times where people were saying X is not looking very good. Now X is looking great, and even if you didn't believe that he was the best brawler on this map before, I think there's no question now. He's got so much stagger and so much control. He doesn't have to. This map is narrow. You don't have to go anywhere, you know. And so you pick big slow X, and you can just kind of walk around. You put out a ton of damage. You control a lot of space, which I think is a big deal. Estelle gets to then play off the ball, you know, shoot people with your abilities and cover more space in the area. I think Estelle and X work really well together on most maps. They complement each other pretty nicely. But on this map, where you're not really going anywhere, Estelle gets to put more of her ability investment into damaging people, which then helps out X, who, again, puts out a ton of damage, but kind of struggles to get that going. I feel like if you don't have someone already chunked, X is not... you have full stagger, X is walking at you. It's not that big of a deal. Anyway, rounding out with the Kai goalie, a pick that Vaughn has been championing all day, but I know that he is very fond of this pick on Demon Deus, and I can't disagree. I think it looks really nice. On the other side, Overtime rocking in with the Now and the Asher. Asher is just X2, same deal. A lot of stagger, is going to be tough to KO with the Now, especially going to be covering. But again, they have the damage picks, but they're opting for a more core control oriented kind of ideal with that one super significant, this is a core control character, they're not doing damage kind of pick in that Now. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the Overtime comp?
Well, you're never going to be upset about Joker on Asher.
Yeah.
It's that guy. There are two characters that I think of when I think of Joker. There's the Octavia.
Yep.
And there's the Asher.
Yep.
And so he's kind of infamous for the pick, able to pull out some absolutely ridiculous combos. And I always like Now on Demon Days. I think, wow, what a dash punch there from Joker to start off the set 1. But yeah, I think now is fantastic at kind of the vertical rotations that Demon Days requires. Because not only does she, have speed to catch a vertical rotation, she's also got a lot of abilities that are really good at just keeping it behind the barrier consistently. And look, we just saw him use that ult as well to play on the opposite wall. And as both barriers get cracked by overtime, they're looking quite strong in set 1.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think Asher is a very strong character in set 1. We've been seeing, like, every game feels like it comes down to which team scales better at the end. And obviously, the X, Joe scaling, is going to be showing up doing a lot in these later sets. Asher fulfills a very similar role. It's like an X-Julie hybrid, where Julie is really good out the box, X not so much, but Asher plays more like the X. And here, overtime, really struggling to get through Vaughn here. Many such cases. And I think everyone struggles to get through Vaughn, but they have both barriers, and I think like the Finny and the Now are going to be playing back a little bit more. And oh my god! Crazy Dorito! Not only clearing the ball, just barely missing the barrier, but sending it right in, going so fast. I think getting a little bit of a course correction on the Demon Days sound waves there, throwing Vaughn off and preventing that from going through. But yeah, I think overtime has a really strong comp going early. I think the offense is going to be up to Joker a lot, but on that Asher and on this small map, that's fine. Asher can 1v2 so many situations, but drop Leto on the X is going to be getting a big old KO onto Luke right there.
Yeah, well played. Nice power play for ABAB, but Joker and Hungry Boy actually just keep up the offense. Joker gets both barriers there. Yep. The Giga misses, so it stays up, and he just scores! That's a 2-point lead for OT!
Hey, and that's what I'm talking about. Like you said, think of two characters when I think of this guy. Octavia, not here. Don't care. Not playing midfield. Show me the Asher! Get in there. It's just crushing these barriers, getting these goals. It is an Asher masterclass out of Joker, as it is every time. That's both barriers again, and overtime is just smoking this game right now.
Yeah, 2 quick barriers, and one of them, again, taken by the Dorito. Like, Hungry Boy has been placing these wacky Dark Horse Doritos. Oh my gosh, they almost get it there again, but Vaughn is patient, waits for that strike, waits for the other end of the Asher primary. But, I mean, Hungry Boy and Luke have full control over this midfield. It's only Drop Leto there to contest them, and Joker gets full reign, putting up against Vaughn and Cardbox over and over and over again until one of them cracks.
Yeah, Joker just keeps getting these beautiful shots that are just out of Vaughn's reach. And Kai is fast. Kai, like, I think this is a very interesting match because Kai and Finny are both very similar in how they play, in that they're fast. And they're kind of like melee ranged hybrids. So being able to strike around the Kai is difficult. That guy gets a lot of coverage, but here we see Stagger Swagger being denied by Vaughn. More speed. Always going to be nice when he gets low, but again, denied from Joker, who's going to be picking up size, and that, I think, is really problematic. That's looking like the pick of the draft. That and the Super Surge onto Hungry Boy. More speed to share with Joker, and that guy's looking 22.5% bigger. So, if he can keep getting these crazy barriers and shots like he was doing in his last set, it might just be 2 sets for overtime real quick like.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, Vaughn is really the only member of ABAB that got a real awakening that draft. Knife's Edge, not really going to do much. There were 3 sparks in that draft, and Drop Leto was just left to pick his favorite down at the bottom. So yeah, 3 fantastic awakenings picked up by overtime, and not really much picked up by ABAB. So I think we're about to see a bit of a rinse and repeat of set 1, unless some absolutely crazy plays come out of ABAB.
Yeah, it's going to take some monster plays, but hey, speaking of Joker, executing that guy on the goal line and getting it in right there. I 100% agree. Like, Knife's Edge after the nerf is a really tough awakening, especially with how Cardbox has been playing. Hasn't been playing super on the wall. I feel like Estelle doesn't really want to play on the wall against Now and Asher. Like, both those characters should just beat Estelle. So Cardbox just not going to be getting a ton of value out of this Knife's Edge. And like you said, 3 sparks on the board, 1 going to Drop Leto. Could get a second one later. Big, but... And Spark of Strength is the spark of choice, absolutely, but just not exactly the big booming scaling that you're looking for. And in the meantime, just both barriers down for ABAB. Overtime, pushing in right here. Joker did burn that flip. Drop Leto has one of his own, might have to use it soon to stay alive, but might not even get the chance because overtime just has so much coverage, so much control, and so many attempts on the offense here.
Nice little playing of the life there by Dropletto. He's still alive! Joker couldn't catch him, but finally Luke will find him there. A little bit of a, I was expecting an ad rush proc, but I don't see ad rush procking, but it does mean a power play for overtime has commenced, and that'll be the big finish, finishing off that point. ABAB still has yet to score a point this game.
It's been a crispy 5-0 for overtime. I mean, they're getting that extra pay here, showing up and getting one after another. They want to go home. They're done with this overtime thing. Just goal after goal. They want to tie this game up. They do not want to be here any longer. And I think it's really interesting. I'm surprised. I would expect ABAB, been playing a ton of damage, to be a phenomenal Demon Deus team. But right now, overtime, who I'd say not as strong on this map, is really showing up, really showing everyone how it's done right now. Net open. Joker looking to get it. Vaughn has a flip, able to win those strike wars. Cardbox with a flip, defending it away. Hungry Boy also has a flip, might be able to get something here. Joker looking to win it all right there in that interaction, trying to punish Vaughn's walk up. Not able to, and Dropletto with a great strike. Getting that barrier. Cardbox no energy, but the push up is happening. ABAB, this is their opportunity, and they are looking to get it right now. Dropletto has that flip. Joker though, able to control the ball really well. That's gonna be the flip and a beautiful shot. Drop, calibrating, finding the opening, able to shoot it in that top corner. First point for ABAB. Could be first of many. Could be bringing it back this set, but I think they had to work really hard to get that point here.
Yeah, I gotta say though, big props to Vaughn on that point, because even though, it did take like 5 or 6 separate offensive attempts to get that point, Vaughn consistently was making those setups happen, and Dropletto just got a power play here, so Vaughn actually gets to walk up and join the offense himself this time with this core flip. Luke will take it out with the big finish, but Vaughn burns the flip here. It's defended away by Joker with the barrier beam. Now has a flip of his own.
Yeah, no barriers found in that power play. Really tough. Now Vaughn, no energy. Has the stagger swagger, not really in threat of his life, but can't evade, clear anything, and really both teams really pulling up on the defense here. I think that power play that ABAB got was really significant, was a big opportunity to not get anything out of it. I think it's really tough. This team, should be getting power plays later on as they scale, as the damage comes out from the Estella and the X, but being able to get something early is really nice. Being able to get nothing off of it, not so nice. Gonna be a little tough. In the meantime, though, this could be first barrier, but no, Hungry Boy able to save it right there. That's going to be first barrier, though, and the Finial not able to catch a barrier on ABAB's side. The defense, though, from overtime is just going to be cracking a little bit. I was going to say exceptional, but both barriers down. ABAB, I think, are finding their groove, finding their flow. They have control of the ball. It's looking like overtime's kind of crammed into their side of the field here. Both these barriers still up. Neither of them going down. A lot of pressure on overtime here, whereas they were the ones putting on the pressure before. It's going to be tough for them to try and get around, as a good attempt coming out from Cardbox and Dropletto. But now Joker with the flip and a lot of presence on that field, able to push it up, keep the ball out of ABAB's hands for a little bit. Still has this flip, looking to get something done, but the ball is just kind of in a stalemate here. Joker looking to win that strike war, get the barrier, but not quite. Offense coming out from ABAB, almost able to get it in. Some very, very close saves coming out from overtime. It is a tense match. Flip burned, and that's going to be the momentum flip that they needed. Dropletto on the ult, able to stun Luke, send it in, get it through. Brings us to a 0.5, and ABAB starting to surge.
Yeah, Vaughn and Cardbox put on a little bit of a midfield goalie synergy masterclass at that point. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to continue that because Cardbox is off the board for the time being. But watch the two of them when Cardbox comes back online. Vaughn and Cardbox have been linking up as often as they can and just passing to one another right around the Joker, just barely skimming past the guy to keep possession behind the barrier, across the barrier, wherever they need to. Cardbox playing further back like this in the goal box and being willing to link up with Vaughn and give him extra clear angles is precisely what's allowing ABAB to make this comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. Cardbox has been known to play a lot of goalie, very comfortable in the position. Dropletto getting a big dash and flip with the ult, getting a nice KO onto Hungry Boy. This is their opportunity. We saw Joker and Luke show up with the core flip and big finish to get that second barrier from ABAB. But now both barriers down for them, and all the momentum in ABAB's favor. able to get it through the barrage, getting confirmed by Dropletto strike, sending it right in there. That's going to be a tied game right there. Really looking overtime favored in that last point, getting those barriers early, but not able to seal it out. And this means that Dropletto could pick up the bulk up, could pick up the Demolitionist, might want some Spec or Castellas to go ult mode, but it's a bulk up sweep. It's definitely one of X's best awakenings, if not the best.
Spec on peak start.
Exactly.
He's already got the extra stagger there, yeah.
Yeah, is going double stagger mode, has the spark of strength, so just a lot of stagger, a lot of power. Can't ask for much more as an X. Maybe some speed if you want to be greedy, but who needs it? Especially on this map, you're going big powerful mode, and that's I think exactly what ABAB needs, especially with the KOs Drop's been able to find here off rip. Vaughn taking a lot of damage. Vaughn was able to pick up that specialized training. These Gigas might be able to catch people off guard. Almost got Joker right there, able to stay alive. Meanwhile, Unstoppable I think is the biggest pick on overtime on Joker. Definitely the guy I would want to have with that Unstoppable. On the breakaway, almost getting it through, not quite. Otherwise, Glass Cannon on this Momentum Boost Finny going to be pretty significant, but I think that was a very good ABAB draft right there.
Yeah, I agree. It's significantly higher value than the last draft that they had. I think that second set was won purely off of good strategy and execution on the side of ABAB, but now they actually have some awakenings under their way, and as they break both barriers, we're starting to see that effect come through, but another stray Dorito grabs a point. Hungry Boy setting up. I mean, I didn't even think that was going to do anything. I was like, okay, there's a primary there. Maybe they'll do something with it, and then it scored the goal.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking missile prop for that extra core speed and overtime. Just kind of perfect storm, just going way too fast. Vaughn ejecting back, trying to get it, but not able to. And here, both barriers down, all ready for overtime. This is exactly how they want to play. The longer the point goes, the more opportunities ABAB has to get the damage on. But there, overtime almost sealing it out. Joker with the flip, saving it, hoping to get it in with the primary. A little greedy, I'd say, but definitely not unfounded. You're on Asher, you know, all your abilities are core flips, but now all barriers down, and that's looking like it's going to be saved right there, not going in. And Joker with the flip, trying to remake that previous point, not able to, but the triple take really helping out on just keeping this possession. Overtime has the ball just completely in their hands right now, and ABAB getting close, getting a little bit of an offense going here. Cardbox, no energy, could be dangerous, could be a target of a lot of damage here, but until then, Dropletto has the ult. Luke has the flip though, and Dropletto's ult not able to get anything. Big Giga Blast, but the flip to respond, able to get it to Joker, send it in, and overtime, kind of trying to repeat that first set, is going up 2-0 right now, looking phenomenal.
Now, we did see ABAB come back from this same perspective last draft, so we'll see if they can replicate set 2 and get a set lead in this game. I would be impressed. This is still looking very, very difficult for them. One thing I am noticing is that Joker has put the fear of God into Cardbox. I have seen Joker just kind of like calmly approach Cardbox multiple times, and then he'll just evade. Cardbox will just evade, thinking that like something imminent danger is coming. So yeah, that's a little funny, but all of the barriers are dropping here, and we'll see who can capitalize on the open goal first.
Yeah, great flip from Vaughn, trying to get it to Dropletto mid-ult, but boom, a great pass up from Joker. Hungry Boy able to pop it with the Now Mine, send it in right between Vaughn and Cardbox. Neither quite able to get there in the end. That's going to be 2 sets to overtime, and the Awakening advantage here. That's going to be a big Monumentalist, or opting to deny the heavy impact, but I think it's got to just be Monu. This map is so narrow.
But hear me out, Monu Finny. Monu Finny. We have Monu Finny on the board here as well.
That's true. Neither Cardbox or Vaughn looking to deny that. Cardbox getting the dash awakening, going to be nice. Vaughn biting the bullet is going to be denying the Monu Finny, but Finny, or Luke, playing Finny, has been getting so much value out of these ults anyway. Going to be denying the Might of Colossus. It doesn't mean that Drop is picking up that 1-2 punch. That is a big, big deal. That is a massive power spike for the X right here. Might of Colossus would have been scary, but I don't know. X already has a ton of power, does not have any size awakenings. I don't know if I would want to deny Might of Colossus in fear of the 1-2 punch. I think it might be more impactful in this game, especially in these overtime points. When they run long, it gives it gives ABAB such a nice win condition because they're able to get all that core speed and try and catch, just like how Overtime's been doing, catch them off guard. So bit of a tough situation there, but I think ABAB had a phenomenal draft, just got a big KO, and might be bringing us to a set 5 here.
Yeah, I would be impressed if they did, but we are looking at now set 4X. That certainly Dropletto is looking like the most scary member of ABAB by far. He's been consistently finding KOs now and providing power plays, which is something that, you know, he's been finding every now and again in previous sets, but there's another one right there. Every time this dude has ult, one of the members of Overtime vanishes from the game for 13 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the Monster X build, he's just going crazy, getting both barriers right there, and like, I feel like people have forgotten, we've been seeing a ton of, we've been seeing a ton of Joker doing whatever that was, just put it in right there, but we've been seeing a lot of Dropletto on Centauro, on Julie, on these picks that aren't X. You know, people be forgetting, this guy is the X guy, showing up and just getting it done brawler style. We saw it that last point. Joker kind of responding in kind, saying anything you can do, I can do just a little bit better, getting those barriers and the goal. But still, like you said, this X that's the guy to look out for. Going for another KO, like, and you might call it greedy. I think it makes a ton of sense. It looked like that would kill, and he has that kind of power. So, you know, just the entirety of Overtime has to watch out for this guy. He is so impactful right now.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job of playing around the midfield line as well when the core gets into a more neutral zone. The Mag Souls on this X allows him to really effectively line up a lot of these abilities, especially on Demon Days where a lot of the game happens in that midfield area, right? Once more, Vaughn and Cardbox with an incredibly genius link up there on the backside. Unfortunately, the big finish clips it on its way out and does manage to snag the barrier, but it's traded on the other side of the map. Dropletto's life may also be traded in the process, but Luke is looking worse for wear as well.
Yeah, Luke Chunk's definitely not. You never want to see your goalie at half health. That's a little scary, but big flip.
Oh!
Able to be saved by Cardbox, not letting that thing go through. Dropletto playing his life beautifully. Great evade, great Giga Blast, able to shut out Joker. Still has the ball. Overtime still with this possession. Unstoppable coming into play. Could be a big deal. Big KO onto Vaughn right there. Now it's up to Cardbox and Dropletto to defend. Joker getting the ball. Cardbox jumping in. Just not letting anything get close to the net. Stalling out this power play. Vaughn is back right now. And Joker still has this ball. Still looking to get anything, but unable to. Big Giga coming out. Big finish. Also there. Not able to get anything. Both teams just fighting for an opportunity. And Joker kind of sharking the defense of ABAB. Looking for that chance. Has the flip. Is going to be passing it to Hungry Boy. Looking to dive in right there. He's definitely, I can feel it. Looking for that flip. Doesn't need it though. Going to be using it just to confirm. Going for that strike. Flip the ball, just moving too fast. Doesn't matter. Going in. Overtime now. 1 point away from tying up this series.
Yeah, I mean, despite, like you said, a very strong draft from ABAB last drafting, there's still Overtime just making play after play here. I mean, every time that Hungry Boy and Luke are able to get Joker the ball, he does so much of the possession keeping on his own. I mean, look at how many interactions this guy wins. And then the few that he loses, you have Hungry Boy waiting on the midfield line. You have Luke, who's now walking up with his flip. And so, yeah, you kind of have two midfielders behind this absolute feast of Joker. The big finish almost finishes it off there. Joker catches it with the breakthrough, and now Hungry Boy has a flip. The pressure is non-stop from Overtime, and we're not even in Overtime yet. There's still 15 seconds.
Yeah, working like they're getting paid that. I don't know how much Overtime pay is, but hey, they are looking phenomenal here. We are looking at Joker with a flip. This could be big. Both barriers still up for Overtime as well. Cardbox being forced to evade, has no energy. Could be a big target here. Joker, popping the flip.
There it is.
Has the shot. Top side of the net. Going to be claiming this game on Demon Days. And bringing us to a game 3. We will be going to Gates of Obscura, but that's a tied up match. That's Overtime, showing that they are not to be outdone. They are here to play. Now, I think, again, seeds 1 and 2 were projected to win. Like, that's what grand finals, that's what seeding is. But Overtime, definitely fighting to get into the conversation here and really, really putting up some good evidence for it. Just a phenomenal game from all three players, able to shut out the monster. Honestly, all three members of ABAB having some great builds and having a lot of presence, but just not quite enough in the end. Overtime is going to be taking that one. Boom.
Yeah, the midfield control was so solid there from Hungry Boy and Luke. Well, and even Joker. Joker was also more than willing to walk back.
Yeah.
And, mark card box, make sure that, it was just one more thing that ABAB had to think about, right? Just one more player that they had to break through. And oftentimes it was Overtime that was breaking through and then just holding it behind the barrier. And Cardbox and Vaughn, they were doing a really good job, or not Cardbox, Hungry Boy and Vaughn did a fantastic job. No, it is Cardbox. Yeah. I'm getting my rosters mixed up. Apologies. But yeah, doing a fantastic job linking up behind their barrier even. And somehow there was that one point where they were able to keep both barriers alive despite the core being behind the net for like 40 seconds straight. So it was some really impressive defense from them, but there's only so much that defense can do if the enemy is the one that's getting all the offensive opportunities, and you aren't really getting any. So it was a hard-fought game by ABAB. It looked like they might be able to bring it back for a minute, but now we're headed into Game 3. It's extra special, explosive entrance start. Talk me through this draft, Yoshi.
Yeah, I mean, just damage after damage start after damage start for both these teams that want to play damage. The X being banned from Overtime, saying like, we're not doing that again. Not letting that go through. ABAB getting first pick, though. Banning Atlas, picking Dubu, really forcing Luke into a tight situation, looking like he's going to be either playing Vice or Luna. I'm thinking the Luna because Hungry Boy, known for the Vice. Overtime saying like, we banned Vice last game. You're not getting Vice. You're gonna have to ban out these goalies and try and pinch Luke into not a melee pick. And hey, I think the Vice Luna is a nice backline. Going to be tough, a little tough on Gates. I think the Boo is powerful this patch. And on a map like Gates where both of the corners are kind of the same size, you get to play both the corners very similarly. And Dubu in the corner is a little bit of a monster. I think Overtime is going to have their work cut out for them to get through. They did round out their draft with Asher. Ladies and gentlemen, Joker Asher. We've seen it once. I believe we've seen it twice. No, I'm lying. We saw. I don't care what we saw.
This would be the second time.
This is the second time, though. We saw what it could do last game, and I do like the Asher into the Dubu. Not because it's like it's a pretty even matchup. Whereas I think most brawlers really struggle into Dubu. Asher at least shows up and can go blow for blow, ban for ban with the Dubu in terms of stuff and potential. I think this game's going to come down to which team cracks first. Because Overtime is just, they're all offense here. Whereas I think ABAB has a little bit more of a rounded team. Definitely specking into that damage with the Estelle Zentaro forward pairing. But if Joker is able to stay alive and the defense is strong enough coming out from Overtime, they should be able to do it. I don't expect the barriers to be up for too long for this team. Whereas ABAB, I think, once their barriers go down, things get a lot harder. But it's going to be very, very interesting as Hungry Boy popping the flip, looking to get something, not able to, but Joker is just ashering all over the place in the corner. It's everywhere, and that's going to be one big point for Overtime. Definitely riding the high of winning that game, too. You can kind of see it in how they're playing, and just wonderful showing here.
Well, and showcasing, like you said, how well that Asher matches up to Dubu. I mean, Dubu, easily one of the scariest goalies right now, and dare I say, just characters, point blank. I mean, look at this. Vaughn is playing Pauldrons, and he was able to walk all the way across the map there to drop a Tofu Fortress and take the final barrier. This Dubu guy is scary, and if Joker was standing just a pixel closer to the wall there, he would have died off of that somersault. So, yeah, Dubu's definitely very scary, but Joker, like you said, absolutely holding his own here. And I actually want to call out the extra special draft on Joker. Obviously, you're probably not going to play Explosive Entrance Asher. It's not like, abnormal for him to pick it. But we did just have Asher Special have the cooldown buffed. Already one of the strongest ults in the game to begin with. If you place it correctly, it is nigh on unbeatable, right? There is an unbreakable projectile in there that if you position it correctly will just ruin any goalie's career, right? And so with that extra cooldown off of extra special, Joker is going to be dropping these Asher ults left, right, and center, and it is going to really make Vaughn's time difficult, even though he is playing the defensive powerhouse of Dubu.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's got to be really nice. You know, you've got, honestly, the entire overtime team, they picked extra special, all three of them, for a reason. It's going to be incredible. And I also want to link back to draft where ABAB banned Atlas, picked Dubu. It could very well be because they're like, we just don't want to play we're just get the melee goalies out of here, you know, none of that. But I think low-key kind of underestimating Luke and what he's able to do on these eject picks. You know, known for that IME goalie, been playing a lot of Luna. It looks exceptional and I think has a lot of potential, especially with the Asher into the Dubu, is a great opportunity to catch this guy off guard. We've been seeing Luke play a bit more defensively, has not had a lot of opportunities to fly in and get some offense going. But as game progresses, it is going to be something to watch out for, and ABAB definitely going to want to watch out for it too because it is a massive threat. That being said, ABAB really holding it down, and boom! Hey, I was talking about watching out for Luke on the flight. Vaughn heard me. He knew. Gonna be shooting that thing straight down, no fly zone, etc. You know, and if anyone's going to be watching out for the Luna, if anyone's aware of the Luna goalie to that degree, it's going to be Vaughn. So exceptional play. Dropletto able to seal it out in the end right there with, I believe, the slashing strike. And 2 points on the board now for ABAB. One more to win the set. But overtime not out of it yet. Well, both barriers are down. It's going to be tough, but they're definitely not looking terrible here in this corner.
Yeah, one thing that I think ABAB realizes, right? Or not ABAB, one thing that Overtime realizes, you pointed out that they're kind of this all-offensive team, which is what you think about if you imagine that Joker and Hungry Boy are going to be, like, staying in the midfield line or forward the whole game. But they realize that this Luna that they have in the goal box too much once the core is up in her face, right? And so Joker and Hungry Boy have been very willing, like they are right now, to walk all the way back and be the ones to contest Dropletto and Cardbox in their net, which I think is very smart by them, because Luke is going to need all the help he gets. When the core is way out here, Luke is comfy. We're probably about to see him dash in, throw a little rocket here and there. And wow, what a dash there from Joker. So yeah, no, this is very, very smart positioning by Overtime to account for the strengths and weaknesses of their team.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And hey, speaking of dash in, Joker just sliding right in there, and boom, dash off kickoff. I really like that out of Luke, able to try and get the momentum going. Unfortunately, not quite able to, as this is a bit of a vicious point off the start. Both barriers down. They did trade the Dropletto for that, but struggling to get through the Boo and the Estelle right here. Just not a whole lot of opportunity, and that power play, you know, hard earned, but actually, tail end of the power play, gonna be netting 2 barriers. We are all everything's doing it again. Has these dashes on lock, able to just snipe that core out, redirect it wherever he wants, and a tie set here. Overtime and ABAB both 1 point, but overtime really showing up in after a very difficult point in this set.
Yeah, definitely. I'm impressed that they've been able to hold their own here. Vaughn actually, how is this guy able to walk up? Pauldron's is supposed to be the pick where it's like, I'm going to sit back here, and I'll let my forwards take care of it. I'll be an absolute menace in pocket. Instead, Vaughn has been able to so consistently get into the enemy net. I don't know how he's managing that. But yeah, the damage is really starting to come through for ABAB. It seems like consistently they always have one member of OT either staggered or on low evade, or both oftentimes. So crazy impressive, and the energy economy is definitely starting to swing in their favor.
Yeah, and we got Drop Leto on this flip. Is a target of a lot of damage, is now a little low. He's gonna have to be looking for some opportunity, and there it is right there, dashing in, knowing that Cardbox will be able to get him the core, just putting himself in the perfect spot, getting that core flip, able to seal it out, and that's going to be a second point for ABAB in this set. Both their points that they've won, they've looked really nice. Overtime had to work really hard to get their point win, but they won the first set in a similarly close fashion. I feel like it is not out of the question for overtime to show up and get something going. That being said, the overtime barriers are not staying up for a very long time, which I think makes a lot of sense, but that's going to be Drop Leto and saying, hey buddy, I noticed that you're looking a little low, and just taking care of it, sealing that guy out, getting the MVP that set, and we got a tie game. We're looking at the bulk up, Adrenaline Rush also on the board. That's pretty scary, but we'll have to see how this draft pans out. I'm also looking at the big fish. We saw Vaughn hover it for a moment before swapping to peak performance. I think if Asher, Joker can get that big fish, contest the size on Vaughn, that could be really nice, but we'll have to see.
We're going to see spec trading and ad rush float all the way to the bottom of this draft. Take your pick on that one, Vice. Yeah, Hungry Boy more than happy to grab spec training, especially with extra special start. So yeah, these are going to be some absolutely disgusting supernovas coming out. First one being dropped right now, but Cardbox will teleport out of it. Soup gone wrong, but Vaughn is able to save it with the somersault there. Luckily able to keep his last barrier alive, but immediately the pressure shifts. Cardbox and Drop Leto now getting their own shots on the enemy barrier. Vaughn, with that massive strike box, is barely able to keep the barrier alive again once more.
Yeah, definitely. Things are looking tough for overtime here as second barrier goes down. Vaughn with a great pass to Cardbox through the portal. Heads up plays. But that's going to be a ton of damage onto Drop Leto. Has no evade. He's looking to play back and let Cardbox and Vaughn direct the offense here. Drop Leto getting unstaggered right here. Able to push back up, but Hungry Boy popping the flip, looking to get something going. Joker taking a lot of damage here, is under threat, unable to get the barrier. Luke also looking for it, but the flip shut out by Joker, who's very, very close to a flip. If he's able to stay alive, might be able to get it and get in. Right now, that's going to be one strike. Does have the quick strike, it's going to be getting less energy, but Drop Leto with the stun on Luke. Follow up with the slashing strike, not letting any of that offense get up for overtime, shutting it all down and giving ABAB another point on the board, pulling ahead this game.
And Hungry Boy and Luke in the point with no evade. Joker has flipped, so now is the time for ABAB to jump some damage onto these guys. And we've been seeing them dump a lot of damage. This is a Taro Estella comp is doing a lot, but it looks like the pressure is able to come out fast enough from overtime that Cardbox and Drop Leto don't even have an opportunity to make that happen. So both barriers do go down for ABAB, and overtime are looking quite advantaged at this point.
Yeah, one barrier down, but not a big deal as long as that second barrier stays up. But again, the back line, we're looking at Vice and Luna might not be able to get a ton of offense. Luke trying to dash in, but that's going to be second barrier found for ABAB. Hungry Boy looking a little low, but Joker has the ball. It's what we're looking for. That's how this team functions. Once that guy gets the ball, he's able to make some magic happen, but we've been seeing his opportunities have been few and far between starting in the second set. Been really struggling to get that offense going, and in this situation, it's kind of ABAB free reign to do what they want. This map is much more open than Demon Deus. It's going to be a lot harder for Joker to have that presence on the field that he did that last game, that he usually does. Weird interaction with the Joker Fortress there. Just going right through. Joker looking low, but still alive. Going to have to stay alive. But Luke, also the target of a ton of damage, could get taken down. Dropletto, damage being traded left and right, but Cardbox unable to seal it out. Luke able to catch that one. Joker trying to get unstaggered, trying to kill Dropletto, not able to do it yet, and both brawlers, both forwards, sorry, on ABAB, just not quite able to get anything in. The defense on OT is looking strong, exceptional in the open net. Joker, though, still looking for this KO, and
Wow.
Luke with an explosive play, able to tie up this game, get that point, get it through Vaughn, and you know, it's tough. It is an uphill battle, but overtime, very clearly comfortable taking their chances on that battle here.
Yeah, I gotta say, we haven't talked a whole lot about Luke's build. It's actually looking pretty nice. The aerial's hot shot is allowing him all the influence he needs. These rockets can now reach across the map and catch stuff. We're seeing him hit Cardbox from across the map with that rocket. And the hot shot is, of course, giving him some much-needed core speed and cooldown reduction, which is very nice. Another beautiful dash there by Luke to find a barrier. So yeah, definitely this Luna is starting to contribute more and more to Overtime's plays here, making several critical moments come through. Speaking of critical moments, Dropletto is able to completely eliminate Hungry Boy from the play and then gets a flip out of it and a point shortly thereafter.
Yeah, Dropletto kind of hunting down Hungry Boy, looking for an opportunity to KO. Hungry Boy forced to ult, able to stagger Cardbox, but not able to participate in the defense. And again, he's very necessary. Cardbox, though, taking a ton of damage. Joker with this flip, unable to get both barriers, or either barrier, which is tough. A barrier goes down for overtime. I think they really need to get these barriers right here in this push, or else things are going to get a little scary. It's going to take a lot of work. The Boo is just so big, is so menacing in that corner. Luke going for a little 1-2 play with himself, trying to get in the corner and then push up. Not able to get it. Joker peeling Vaughn, not letting him get anywhere close to the core. Unsuccessful, though, as the save has come out. Dropletto taking that supernova to the face, and a ton of damage to follow. Both brawlers look pretty low, but that's the first barrier. The flip whiff, though, I think is going to be a little catastrophic, because that ABAB barrier is still up. Dropletto low, Joker low, but that's going to be both barriers down. ABAB has the chance to seal out their second set, and Luke going in for a hero play, unable to make it. Cardbox blocking the Asher ult, not letting it go through the airship, has been delayed, and Cardbox with just a nice play right there, catching Luke off guard, not able to get it. Had the evade too, you know, was fully ready for the beam to come out, but just some nice patience. Cardbox walking out of the corner to catch it on the cross, going to be sealing that one out. 2 sets to ABAB here, 1 away from winning the series.
ABAB is doing a fantastic job of making sure that Joker is not able to do whatever he wants. And this Stagger Swagger Deny is a prime example of that, because they've been able to keep him low pretty consistently. He doesn't have speed yet. Stagger Swagger would have solved a lot of his problems there. But now ABAB is able to continue to keep Joker out of the play. Unstoppable will help a little bit. He'll be able to eat a little bit of damage here and there. But definitely, between this Estelle and Zentara, there's going to be plenty of hits to keep Joker in check. As for the rest of the draft, we had a spark. Actually, a couple sparks picked up. One by Dropletto, one by Hungry Boy at the back of the draft there. And that was a heavy impact deny away from the Estelle Zentaro. But 2 barriers quickly go down here. Overtime still staying strong. And there's that Joker and Hungry Boy defense helping out their brave Luna goalie and keeping this final barrier alive.
Yeah, but for only so long as another offensive push in the corner is going to be sealing it out. Joker looking to get something done, but is able to find it right there with the dash and the primary pseudo dash punch, but the primary just kind of holding Vaughn in that corner, unable to do anything as the core goes in. That's going to be 1 big point for overtime. 2 more for them to tie up the game, but it's still going to be very tough for this team to get anything done. They were able to get the barriers early on, but I feel like if they don't get both barriers in one push, if they don't get the barriers early on, we're looking at something like this, where their barriers are down, and now ABAB kind of has free reign to just hang out and take the point slow. Hungry Boy with the flip, looking to get a little bit of offensive momentum. Not able to yet. Luke holding on the defense so far. Dropletto able to unstagger. Going to be very comfortable with that. But here, Cardbox able to piercing shot it right in. Not very many people there. I mean, all of overtime coming back, but Cardbox saw the opening, took it, was able to get it in there, and that's going to be another tied set for these two teams. Again, overtime has so much work to do if they want to get to a set 5, let alone win.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing the Supernovas dropped on kickoff by Hungry Boy. They immediately deal a lot of damage to the side of ABAB, but then whoever gets hurt just kind of walks back, and then somehow the push happens anyways. Like, we saw Cardbox completely leave the play, but then Vaughn and Dropletto have just been soloing this push, and now Cardbox is able to get fully back in there. They have a barrier advantage. Hungry Boy's looking worse for wear, doesn't have stagger. He's about to get killed by the Zinult here. This is ABAB's game to win.
Certainly, their rotations have been beautiful. Anytime someone gets staggered, they make sure that they play that guy's life. And the strike piercing shot confirmed is going to be taking us to series point right here. ABAB looking to close this one out. It's, again, cannot stress enough that overtime, not out of it yet, but they have so much work to do. ABAB looking so strong right now, shades of the first game. Just really, they have so much control, so much momentum, and a big power play right here. This could be it.
Yeah, looking likely. There's a brief breakaway here by Hungry Boy and Luke, and they actually managed to find both barriers in the middle. That 2 seconds till Joker comes back online with the piercing shot. Cardbox closes it out, and that's ABAB taking the series.
Yeah, big wins coming out from ABAB. Definitely hard fought, well earned. Again, second seed. Like this is to be expected, you know. But ABAB, a team. Again, I can't stop talking about it. It's set up to expected to win it all. One of the two contenders. It's a great showing from them. Bit of a tough situation in game 2, but overtime showing up, showing what they were made of. I think in this game, really, overtime had a good idea, had a good plan going, but I feel like Luke wasn't able to contribute enough on the offense. They didn't have enough opportunities, and they were either forced onto the defense too long, or their offense wasn't long enough for Luke to get a good shot in. And so I think that kind of made their game plan fall apart. We saw ABAB just able to play around everything that overtime had. You know, Joker was able to get in with a couple very, very nice goals, but if we're not seeing some miracle come out from the Asher, it did not look very easy for them to play.
Well, and contrast Luke with Vaughn, right? Look at this guy, assisting on 6 of his team's goals and having the most redirects in the lobby at 223, and also not shying away from shots. 44 shots, almost as many as his forwards, and actually beating out Luke on in the shots department there. The amount of consistent contribution that Vaughn was able to make both on offense and defense was baffling to me. I was surprised at how many times he was able to make his way across the map casually as Pauldron's Dubu with no speed awakenings, except in those last couple sets. He got peak and stagger swagger, but for most of that game, he had no speed awakenings, and yet casually, here's Pauldron's Dubu. Surprise, he's in the enemy goal net now, dropping a Tofu Fortress in your face. What are you gonna do? Yeah, I mean, props to ABAB for being able to apply such consistent pressure, keep such consistent possession, that their goalie was able to actually join them in those efforts. And it's some seriously impressive coordination.
Yeah, certainly. I really love watching Vaughn play goalie. Again, he's something that he said recently that I heard that really stuck with me was, like, you have 3 members on your team, you have a goalie, why not get them into the play? And so he's always looking to get himself into the play, even on the Dubu, like you said, 6 assists, just really well done. Again, that guy has my vote for best goalie in the world. Like, would expect nothing less. But with that, we are going to be cutting to a short break. I couldn't tell you what match is up next. Hey, you can check the bracket. I'm sure there's a command for that, but winners finals. Goodness gracious. That's going to be soon Polar Cortex versus ABAB. Yep, so we'll be there soon. Stay tuned, you know, maybe take a break, get something to drink, but we will be back hopefully quickly. I don't know. Bye. See you later. Bye.